It's the match, ladies and gentlemen. The main event of night one. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk.
Who would have ever thought in a million years? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be very transparent with you all right now. I still can't believe we have CM Punk in a WWE ring right now. But the fact that they have told this story so beautifully, the hatred between Rollins and Punk, the hatred between Roman and Punk, and the hatred between Roman and Rollins. It's all there, and it's being told so beautifully. I can't tell you a time that a story was told so masterfully since the bloodline itself.
This has been my biggest gratitude towards Triple H taking over, because Vince didn't really, he utilized Seth Rollins, but Seth was always so start and go with Vince. It was always very, he would put a mountain of momentum behind him, and then he would just completely cold block, and then Seth would just be flopping, doing nothing. And since Triple H has taken over, I've had PTSD in moments, and I've spoken with Miss Destiny Diamond here. Like, leading into the Royal Rumble, I said, I don't think Seth's going to win. I said, I just hope he doesn't get, like, fed to somebody. I want Seth to matter. Seth is one of my all-time favorites. I think he's performing on a level that nobody else really is in terms of character work, in-ring storytelling, in-ring ability, and also just the WrestleMania 40 forever changed my opinion on Seth Rollins. I think that was his night more than anybody else's. And the fact that he could tell such a convincing story in the main event, when it was him coming out to, he didn't throw a punch. He got in the ring and got hit with a punch and then got hit with a steel chair. And that was all he did. And he was the one I was thinking about when I walked away that night. The amount of insane storytelling there is just, you can't make up somebody that good. And so, and then you look at the other competitors in this match. CM Punk, the storytelling between him and Paul Heyman, and the fact they literally have a promo of Paul looking at Punk and saying, I will be there. I will walk you to the ring when you main event your first WrestleMania. From fucking 10 years ago is crazy. It is insane that can now come back full circle and it can tie in. And Roman has been doing so good with this tribal chief character and how he's playing this tweener role perfectly to where he hasn't changed. He didn't come back and apologize. He came back and assumed his family would forgive him, and he never said, I'm sorry. Look at the relationship he had with Jey Uso and how Jey Uso joined the War Games match. Roman never apologized to Jey. He never had that moment where he was like, Jey, I'm sorry, I'll change. That didn't happen. Roman is, and the way he always plays, I can go on all day about Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and how it's one of my favorite feuds in wrestling history. And by the time all is said and done, it's probably going to be my favorite feud in wrestling history, because these two have the storied career against each other in ways that not a lot of superstars get to. Sorry, I've been ranting. I'll gather my thoughts for a moment while I let you kind of talk about your thoughts.
No, you are perfect. And you mentioned the Royal Rumble and how you didn't want Rollins to be just fed to somebody. Can we talk about how beautifully executed it was? From who eliminated him to how he handled it and how he reacted and how everyone else around him reacted. Now, Punk eliminated Rollins and Reigns at the same time. Then Punk was eliminated right next to them by Logan Paul. These three men are all looking at each other. They are all together in this moment. Roman says, what are you doing? We just teamed together. What are you doing? Stomp. Gone. Done. Rollins is pissed, not only that he was eliminated, but that he was eliminated by the man he hates more than anyone else on this earth, alongside the man who is number 2 for who he despises and has the most history with. Rollins played it perfectly. all three men played it perfectly. And for Roman to come back the way he did and to decimate everyone in his path, and the way that he is just carrying himself, and how Paul Heyman betrayed him, and now Punk with that sly smirk that he has with Paul Heyman in his corner, and the antics that he pulled on Monday as Paul Heyman was waiting for his tribal chief. This story is a masterpiece. This is a gorgeous quilt that is being beautifully sewn together by the mastermind that is Paul Heyman, and I cannot wait to see what happens in this match.
The fact, I wish they played a little more into the fact that Seth Rollins has Roman Reigns' number, and Seth Rollins knows that he has Roman Reigns' number. My favorite part about the Royal Rumble match wasn't the elimination, it was the fact that Roman failed to eliminate Seth moments before the dump over happened. Seth has Roman scouted. If you look at every one of their major moments where they fought each other in the ring in a big match situation, Seth Rollins has won every time. During Roman Reigns' historic 1,316-day title reign, he lost one title match, and that match was to Seth Rollins by disqualification because Seth got so in his head, Roman refused to break the rope count and got himself disqualified with the guillotine choke. Seth is the only one, and I wish they would have brought that up all the times he threw in Seth's face. He's like, you have the secondary title. Your title doesn't mean anything. I beat all the guys challenging for your title. And I wish they would have brought it up, the fact that he never beat Seth Rollins. I think there was a random match on Raw or SmackDown or something where he's beaten Seth once or twice. But anytime the chips have been down and the match has mattered, there was the historic night where all three members of the Shield won the title on the same night. Roman went in as champion, lost clean to Seth, and then Dean cashed in on Seth.
Oh, the greatest night in history of wrestling.
You look at the first gauntlet match in terms of the Elimination Chamber participants, which has kind of became, I don't think they did it this year or the last couple of years, but it was a mini tradition for like 3 or 4 years in a row where they would do a gauntlet the week before the Elimination Chamber with all the members. And the first gauntlet they did was the leading into WrestleMania 34, where it was the 7-man Elimination Chamber, which was, I think, Miz, Finn Balor, Rollins, Strowman, Cena, Roman, and I don't remember who else, or maybe I just named them all, but Seth started the match against Roman and won. And then Cena was number 3, and Seth beat Cena. And Elias was the other one, now that I'm thinking about it. So it's just insane to think, like, every time these men have faced the WrestleMania 40, of course, Seth's team lost to Roman's team in the main event of night 1. However, Roman was not the one who scored the pinfall, nor was Seth the one who took the pinfall. The Rock pinned Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins was the star of that match, in my opinion. And I might be biased, but if you look at every opportunity, every moment Seth could have interfered, he did. He was the reason Roman speared The Rock. He was the one who saved Cody's ass countless times that night, and it was just so beautiful. And that's it. It's just the fact that Seth constantly has Roman's number, and the fact that Seth has been the one, his whole reputation, the reason the fans turned on him is because he's WWE's biggest supporter. He's been the one who, the whole reason the internet turned against him was because he went after Will Ospreay. When Will said he's the greatest wrestler in the world, and Seth essentially said, hey, kid, when you come to my company, then you can say you're the greatest wrestler in the world. And people were like, screw Seth Rollins, I hate him, and they turned him heel. After that, and the whole debacle with The Fiend, which that match is a gripe in its own. That match was actually really good, and people don't know what they're talking about. And I will die on that hill, but we'll talk about that one day. But the fact that Seth has always been WWE's biggest supporter and saying this is the company, and now CM Punk, who spent years tearing down this company, comes back and he wants the main event of WrestleMania. He wants to come in and pretend like he hasn't been trying to tear this company down for years. I love the hatred that Seth has for the ideology of who CM Punk was. And the fact that Punk is just here to right some wrongs. And the promo that Punk cut where he said, he's like, look, Seth, I didn't like you and I wanted to fight you because you had a championship. He goes, you're not the world champion anymore, so I don't give a shit about you. And Seth had to attack him.
You're not on my mind at all.
Exactly.
Yep. So, fun fact about that promo, it was on Raw in Seattle. I was there, and it was my very first time seeing CM Punk in person. The best part of all of it, because I love Seth. I enjoy Punk. I like Roman. But the fact that Punk looked at Rollins and says, you're not on my mind at all. I don't think about you at all. It was just so perfect. So perfect. Chef's kiss, no notes.
So I will say the big fan theory going into this match, what everybody's saying is Paul Heyman is going to turn and align with Seth freaking Rollins, and Seth is going to walk away the victor of this match. Destiny, what do you think about that theory? Do you agree, or do you have your own to pose?
If I may say, I think the internet has gotten into my brain too much. I think I spend a little too much time reading what fans think is going to happen because I'm almost sold. Because Paul owes Seth a favor now because he didn't stomp his head in next to Punk. I will admit, other than Seth's star power, I don't see a reason for Heyman to go to him, other than owing him a favor and other than his star power. Here's my thing. Seth can do it all. As you said, he's phenomenal in the ring. The storytelling is there. That man is a god on the microphone. He does not need Heyman other than to get under the skin of his two most hated people in this world, which could be the motivation. I don't see the motivation on the side of Heyman to align with Rollins. I'm not sold on that theory, but I also don't hate it. Your thoughts on this theory?
I have a lot of thoughts on this theory. The thing that I feel like a lot of people do is they get so caught up in the match in front of them and what's the most interesting thing. And I feel like that's never the question. The question is always, what's the most interesting thing coming out of this match? Because this triple threat match is expertly designed. We talked earlier about how WrestleMania should feel like the end destination. A triple threat match is the exception to that because you cannot end blood feuds in a triple threat. So, what is coming out of this? Which two superstars are pairing off to fight once this triple threat match is said and done? Is it going to be Seth Rollins and CM Punk writing their final chapter? I don't think so. Is it going to be Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins? I don't think so. Because I think Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins has that interesting story where I think they should be done after this. And then in 2 years' time, they could tell another tale and keep going like that until they eventually set up to retire. And then I think you can finally do Roman Seth and tell the Batista Triple H story of you've never beaten me when it mattered. And that's when you can finally do their big feud blow off. And so that leaves Roman Reigns, CM Punk feuding after this match. And in terms of that, if it's Roman Punk, there's no title involved. It almost feels like this is where you need Paul Heyman, is with these two, not Seth Rollins. Which is why I think Seth Rollins wins this match because of Paul Heyman indirectly. I think Paul Heyman is going to be involved in this. It is going to be a moment where Paul is trying to make up his mind between Roman and Punk, and both of them need his help, and he can't decide, and Rollins is the one to capitalize, because Rollins has been overlooked this entire feud since these two locked up. It has always been these two staring each other down while Rollins is poking and prodding and pressing buttons and getting them fired up, trying to face each other. And I got a really bold prediction, and I'm going to hold off until the end of this. I will say, I'll leave it at that for now. I think Seth Rollins has this match. I want Seth Rollins to have this match, But I think Seth Rollins has this match, and I think in a year and a half, you can finally write the final chapter of Seth Rollins CM Punk and do it either at Mania next year, or if you don't want to tie up Punk at several Manias like that, you could do it at SummerSlam next year as well. In a situation like that, coming off of Mania for the world title, something like that, where it makes sense for them to be feuding again, and they get to say, "Hey, we never really close this chapter, this book. We still got one more section to write," and all that history gets to come back one more time. But I think it's going to be Punk versus Roman after this match at Mania, and I think Seth is the one walking away as the winner.
Now, I have to say, this is the one match that I can't predict a winner. I hate to say it. I don't like that I have to say that, because I could see any man in this match walking away with it. I do think it probably will be Seth, because I just don't see it being Roman, and I don't see them giving it to Punk. However, I feel like this is one of those matches where it's going to be two men taking each other out, and the third capitalizes. I truly see Seth being the one that gets so heated with one of the other competitors that he fucks himself.
I could also see that. I just
think that he has that. I could also see that being Roman, because like you said, that's what happened last year. You know, he got so heated about how much he hated Seth that he lost his championship. So you know what? My bold prediction, just for the sake of arguing with you, while Seth could absolutely be the one walking out with the victory, I'm giving it to CM Punk, because Roman and Seth are going to get so into kicking the crap out of each other that they're going to forget about Punk, and Punk's going to capitalize because he has the in-ring IQ and he has Heyman.